Gonna get up out of the ground, 'cause ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. Well, go down yonder, Gabriel, put your foot on the landing sheet. But Gabriel, don't you blow your trumpet until you hear from me. Well, I look way over yonder, seen people dressed in white. I know it was God's people, I seen that doing right. Well, I look way down the river, and what do you think I seen? I seen the band of angels that's coming after me, 'cause there's no grave gonna hold my body down. There ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. When I hear that trumpet sound, gonna get up out of the ground, 'cause there ain't no grave gonna hold my body down.
All right. That's enough of Brother Eli for the moment. Now, hi, Mike. OG Mike is in the house. So today, my little rant, politics, witchcraft, and fasting. So, politics, maybe it's probably my algorithm that is, hey, Brett, my algorithm is just running amok with politics, which I think that started, I'd have to say COVID is when my algorithm took a certain direction. Not so much towards truthing, but really it was like researching, what is the virus? How do you deal with it? This vaccine. Hey, what's up with this vaccine? What's up with not talking about vaccine? Why do I have to sign a waiver for a vaccine I have to get if it's not unsafe? Wait a second, this is political, not science, though it was, anyhow. So since 2020, I'd have to say politics has been in the center of my life, whether I like it or not, which I'm getting tired of it. And what I think I'm going to do is kind of detox, fasting from politics. Well, no, actually, this is going to be real physical fasting. I'll get to that in a second. But kind of going towards listening to things that are political and divisive, and I'm seeing it on both sides. So the witchcraft part of this comes in because there's a no, that's, you're right. No, I'm not, I'm talking about my, because I'm responding to Mark. For me, it's been a mindset that is improper, and I'm realizing it. The reason I'm talking about this is just last time I went home to visit my buddies, can you guys hear me okay? And am I coming through all right? I see bad connection. So when I went home last time, one of my buddies who's liberal, and I have no problem with that because I'm glad Mark's here. He brought up politics, and started the conversation off. Are you ready? Oh, okay. I was briefly roboting. Thanks. The way he opened the conversation was, are you willing to admit you've been seduced by the dark side? And I'm like, well, I can see this is not going to go well. And he was kind of half joking, but it was for me. What I see is let's say when I'm talking with Mark, I'll listen to and with Mark and dialogue with Mark, and that makes a conversation. With certain people in my life, it's just almost like talking points and not willing to talk with you. It's trying to win, which and the conversations here, it's more so, oh, okay, I lost you for a second. So there's nothing wrong with having a position or wanting to express yourself. It's just at what point, and either when do you stop the conversation because it's getting too intense and it's just entrenched, or even knowing how to, I'd have to say, give props to the other side when they're right. Because I don't think at this point anymore, talking past each other, not dialoguing. I just got derailed. So I guess I'm no longer seeing one side as perfect or evil. And I'm not giving up on politics. It's just, I think, a good, healthy detox from it. And starting, if I did anything, it'd be local. So that's because it really affected me when I went home and I was talking with my friend, and it was difficult to process it because I think you can like people and not agree with them. So that's where I'm at on that. The witchcraft part. Let me see if I can find this. I need to look up Mark Shaw and Eric Metaxas. Martin Shaw, Eric Metaxas. I'm pulling it up right now. There we go. Let me see. I'm gonna run something. I hope I don't get a strike. I'm gonna just roll it, and I'll see how far this goes. Okay, that's not, I don't want to invite guests. I'm learning StreamYard here. Oops, there's that. Oh, wrong one. Okay, screen image. Okay, stop screen. Share screen. Martin Shaw. Share and roll it.
Understand the Beatitudes. The last should be first. I couldn't get my head around that in the rugby team at school when I'm very physical and I'm filled with ambition. So for whatever reason,
so
it seems as if
an interview with Martin Shaw, talking with Eric Metaxas, and Martin Shaw is a mythologist and a storyteller, and was anything except, air quote, Christian. And he hung out with with a fellow named Wallace Black Elk, who was a shaman, medicine man, and the Lakota medicine man, basically witchcraft. The guy does, Wallace Black Elk straight up did hardcore shamanistic pagan animism, and I'm not trying to slam him or belittle him, but during the Lakota sweat lodge, during the ceremony, it's kind of like a sweat lodge is like a sauna for Native Americans, and there's a theology behind it, and there's spirits attached to the ritual, and they show up. But anyhow, Wallace Black Elk was talking to Martin Shaw, and he goes, and this is not in a derogatory way, it was in the limited English he could speak. It was the hippie guy, Jesus. He's like, do you know that? And Martin Shaw's like, yeah. And he goes, and Wallace goes, don't give up on him. He hasn't given up on you. Which Martin Shaw was like kind of surprised. Now, this is when he was in his 20s and just went off doing his own thing for a long time. And then when he was Martin Shaw was doing rites of passages and all kinds of, I'd call them new age stuff. It was shamanic practices, but mostly storytelling. And he had this thing called rites of passages where he would set up like a 4-day fast and go in the woods and kind of like a vision quest for folks. That's what he's been doing for a while. But he was doing one that was a 101-day vigil where he would go out into the woods in the evening, spend some time, pray, and come back. And then on the last day, it was the 101st, it was the last day of the vigil, he says that he's out in the woods, and that at the end of it, he pretty much was wrapping up and going, well, I did this 101-day thing. I should at least talk to the universe, see if the universe has anything to say. And he goes, universe, and I'm kind of paraphrasing it, if you have anything to say at this time, please talk to me. Well, I'll paraphrase it. God showed up in a miraculous way. And it wasn't like Jesus in the flesh, but it was just Jesus sending him a sign. And then later that night, talking to him visually with a vision. And it pretty much drew him back to Christianity, but it was a long walk. So, he's now Orthodox. And the reason I'm bringing this up, the witchcraft, is he hung out with Wallace Black Elk. It's called Sun Dancer. It's a Lakota practice where it's a very difficult ritual, and a lot of medicine and spiritual people do that. And even if you're not a medicine man, you're going to be, it's a pretty spiritual practice, or at least dedicated spiritual practice. And the reason I am a Christian, the funny thing is, I was hanging out with a medicine man who was a sun dancer, Ross. And it was in what was that year? That would have been 1997. Let me think. 96, 97. I'm hanging out. I'm Shaman Ron. You know, I'm a Buddhist. I'm New Age. And I was singing with a native group, the Red Circle Singers out of Cleveland, Ohio. And I was a wannabe. You know, I was searching for God. I was just trying to do this thing. I was Jewish. That wasn't happening. Buddhist, I was hanging out with the Zen master, and that wasn't really landing for me. New Age, but the Lakota thing, the shaman thing, was really getting traction. I was meeting spirits. Like I was talking to, I was hearing things, and not just when I was on drugs. And actually, I didn't hear things on drugs. This is broad day sober stuff, and I'm like, oh, I'm meeting spirits. This is great. And so I get into the Lakota spirituality, and during a 3-day drumming practice, Ross hit this little whistle, which is made out of an eagle bone that you get when you're a sun dancer. That's what the sun dance, you know, when you go to these ceremonies, you're a sun dancer. And when you hit that, some very profound spiritual entities showed up. Like I thought God showed up. It was the spirit of this earth. And it showed up very unveiled. You know, and like things were like I wasn't high or anything at this time. Things are talking to me, and I had this very particular vision of a cross, and it was a particular color, had some colors in it and designs. And I go up to Ross. Now Ross he's a nice guy. He's a hard, you know, he's a tough cookie, but not mean. I go, Ross, you know, I had this vision and I saw this cross, and I go, what's it mean? And he goes, you'll know when it happens. And I'm like, well, that sucked. So I was like, that was anticlimactic. You'll know when it happens. So I go waiting and looking for this sign, because it was in my eyeballs. A real vision. I had not had one up until that moment. So a couple of years pass after that. And during that time, the Lakota shamanism's kind of dying down. Like it's kind of, there's no big shakes happening. I'm becoming more of a burnout. Spirits are really tormenting. I don't even know their spirit. I know their spirits, but I'm contracting all kinds of weird stuff, painful stuff. And it was about 2.5 years after I had this spiritual encounter with the shaman folks, Native American folks, and that shamanistic experience. One of my buddies ODs, and he was a big guy. His nickname was Little Paul. And Little Paul, I'm like, the moment it happened, I was like, I was raised better. I'm done with this. Now, during that time, right during the season, it was the summer of 1999, I was hearing the gospel at a variety of pop festivals, music festivals, but they were all pop festivals to me. And I was, one of my friends, Jennifer, came up to me, and she was what you'd call a fallen away Christian. She was having a tough time with her marriage at the time. She was separated from her husband, and she's like, I'm getting back into church because her husband left her. She left church. She was hurt. I'm going back to church. Let's go to church. I'm like, okay. She was that kind of friend. Like, she was cool. I saw something different in her that was very positive as far as Christianity goes. So I go to church, and it's a non-denomination Pentecostal church. I got hair down to my middle of my back. I got big old beard. Now, one eye was shooting off. This eye was shooting off to the left because I'd done so many hallucinogenics, and I think I was being tormented by a spirit. I walk into this Pentecostal church, and to give them their props, they were incredibly cool with us. They were very loving. I mean, they had just come out of a thing called legalism, and they were like the white shirts and the ties. I'm like, man, I do not belong here. But it was like in the first week of us going there, the pastor calls up Jennifer, my friend, and he goes, Jennifer, come here. Holy Spirit just told me to give you $440. I'm like, cool, we like church. But I also recognized that there was something spiritual going on. No form I'd ever recognized before, but I knew there was something going on. And it was interesting. So the next day after we got the money from the church, we got kicked out of the place we were all crashing. We rented a house, turned on the utilities, got groceries, and had $20 left over. And that's when I knew. I'm like, okay, something just landed. But wait, there's more. In this church, I saw the cross, not the exact cross that I'd seen with the native folk, but it was in the same shape, and it was very unique. And it was carved in the back of the pastor's chair and the two side chairs next to it. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. So little Paul dies. I'm Shaman Ron, knowing that I need to get my life together. And I'm seeing these images, shadows of the images I had as a vision. And yeah, when I was doing the pagan stuff, New Age. And my friend Jennifer, there was a time came like I was in a group of people. It was me, Chris, Jeremiah, Cindy, Casey, Gino, Christian. Gino was a biker enforcer. Christian was a drug dealer. I was the hippie. These guys were getting saved in front of me with a radical encounter that I didn't understand, but I couldn't ignore, because I knew these guys before they had their encounter with Christ, and I saw what happened to them after. Christian was going to go to a drug deal where he didn't have the money that he owed the bikers, and moments before he went to the drug deal, he gave his heart to Christ, and I saw him do it. And the thing that I'm like, and it wasn't just like a Jesus coming in my heart moment. It was my friend Jennifer. She's a piece of work. She's like blunt, like a sledgehammer, kind and funny, but blunt. She's like, she knew something was going down, because Jennifer in her past life was a hippie chick who knew a lot of people and knew what was going on. And she knew Christian was into some mischief at that moment. She's like, you got to give your heart to God, Christian. You got to get square with God. And Christian was a 6'2" boxer. And like, he didn't budge for anybody. He wasn't mean, but he just, and when Jennifer grilled him, he just goes, I already did. And when he did it, it was like, oh, I already did. And a laughter hit him that was like he heard the funniest knock-knock joke, and nobody else was allowed to know the punchline but him. And he just takes off. And I'm like, something weird just happened. Well, long story short, when he said, I already did, something transpired in front of me. I saw it. It was a change of heart, immediate. With him, he actually became very happy. It was a lot of laughter. So he goes to the drug deal, and he's got 2 9mm pistolas on him, and he's a boxer. And the bikers go, "Where's our money?" Now, instead of Christian going all John Wayne and then going bad, he goes, "I don't have it. If you give me some time, I'll get it." And they go, "Okay, you got 2 weeks or a week or something like that." And Christian goes, "Okay." And he made a deal with God. He goes, if you get me out of this alive, I will give you my heart. So Christian, the biker says, you have X amount of time. Christian goes, okay. He gets the money, stops dealing. And I see this in front of me. Like I see this change. Now, Gino was the biker enforcer. Gino looked like Martin Shaw, but like 2 of them, or at least, just bulldog and full of tattoos. And now me and Gino got along great. I liked Gino quite a bit. So Gino he got a girl pregnant. They were fighting and fussing, and the lady said, "You'll never see your child." And they were just really pushing Gino's buttons. And one day, Jennifer, now mind you, Jennifer is really coming back to God, and she's becoming very sensitive to the Spirit. She's like, "We got to go find Gino. Something's wrong." So, long story short, Jennifer and her kids, and the kids were tight with God. They'd be like, "Turn left here, turn right there," and they're just kind of like doing a metal detector, like, "Where's Gino?" or "Where's Waldo?" And they find Gino, and he's driving his bike, and they pull him over. I'm like, "Gino, you can't do this." He's like, I gotta go take care of business. And they're like, "Gino, no, you can't do this. You need to give your heart to Jesus." And now what Jennifer didn't realize is that she had pulled Gino over in a church parking lot. She didn't even notice. She was just frantic. And then Gino goes, "Yeah." He looks at the church parking lot. Gino didn't talk a lot. He goes, "Yeah, I got to make a choice." Long story short on this one, Gino goes home. He doesn't go take care of business, which we found out later. He was on his way to go take care of business. Like, it was not gonna be good. But it gets even funner. Oh, by the way, I'll add this in. Gino went into a custody battle with the girl that he got pregnant. Now, at the beginning, the judge hated Gino. He like, "Gino, you suck." Because he belonged with a biker group in Muncie that his best friend was Animal. Now, I was good with Animal too, but I'm not going to drop too many names. But Animal was not your friend. Like, he was off a leash. But I got along with him too. So anyhow, at the end of because of the commitment Gino made to Christ and walked it out, at the end of this process, Gino, because of what he did in action, the judge looked at him and gave him custody of his daughter. He said, "You're a great dad." So, but before that, when Gino was still kind of Gino coming out of the biker gang, he was on his bike, and it was a hot summer day. Now, he'd given his heart to God, and he was going to church, but there was no big transformation. This is the part that cracks me up, that, God is really out of the box. So Gino is riding his bike on a hot summer day, and we live down by a freshwater reservoir that's real, it's clean and whatnot. So can't drink the water, but you can swim in it, and it's not a problem. So Gino is soaking his head. Now, it's later on in the evening, and he's telling us this story, and he's kind of crying. And he goes, "I was on my bike, and it was hot, and I went down to the side of the lake, and I was soaking my head with my bandana, and the more I soaked it, I felt this love come into me the more I did it." And he's like, "It's the most romantic relationship you could ever have." Oh, I'm like, okay. I didn't expect that one from Gino. I didn't even understand that. My friend Jennifer's like, Gino, you baptized yourself in the Holy Spirit. I was the, it was so, I'll be honest, I'm 25 years into this game, and that one even, I don't trust God. That's the highest compliment that I can give. He cheats. He does what he wants, when he wants, and how he wants. Now, there are forms and practices that I totally respect and understand, but when he wants to do something, oh, it is so cool. I do believe that when Gino was soaking his head in that bandana, somehow God honored that as some sort of baptism. Now, Gino later on got baptized, but there's a moment where I'm like, okay, God he can turn bread and wine into his body and flesh. All right, when, where, and how he does stuff, I'll let him decide on how he wants to dish it out. So anyhow, this is coming to me. And by the way, this isn't I don't know what you mean by overcompensating. This is just what happened. This isn't, so this is my life. And this is what I've seen. These are people who were bad. When I say bad, I mean bad. And then they became not bad in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye. Quicker. Anyhow, so for me. So I go, now it's coming to me, because I don't know what. I'm looking at some of the comments, getting kind of somewhat. All right, so I'll go with my testimony. This is what it's about with Martin Shaw. So comes to me. I see the cross in the chairs that are at my church, and I know it's the cross that I saw in the vision. And I'm like, it's the cross in the vision. And it's in a Pentecostal church. What do I do with that? And I had to chew on it, really. And what started to happen is I started reading the Gospels, and it actually wasn't the Gospel. It was the Old Testament. It was David. Because at this point I'm still Jewish, but really saying Jesus was not happening in my life. He was the Antichrist. Growing up, I used to say, I wish I could have nailed you up myself. No kidding. I used to say that. And I used to think that Christianity was the biggest hoax. And that I used to say, Jesus, way to go. You got away with the biggest hoax. Well, good for you. So that's where I'm coming from at the moment in the story. And I am seeing power in this church. Because as a shaman, I wanted to help. I wanted to be that healer. I wanted enlightenment. I wanted to be the guru. I wanted to be the man. I wanted to be the Swami Ron, bring me your poor huddled masses and I will heal you. And I wanted healing myself. I wanted this thing on the inside. I wanted peace. I had no peace. I was a hot mess. And so I'm at this church and I'm seeing prophecy happen. I'm seeing heal. Well, I didn't. Well, let me think. Oh yeah, the pastor's sister, Cammie, she was going to die. She had a fatal blood disease. Her blood was she was going to die. So we prayed for her. The church is praying. I'm like, all right, that sucks. I've never really been around someone who, except for my buddy, little Paul, who died. I'd never been around someone who's going to die. I'm like, I didn't know how to pray, but I seen these people. To make a long story short, she goes to get blood work done, and she okay. Like, she's not just like, oh, it's the numbers are better. She's like, no, my blood is clean. I'm like, what? And she's just, that was my first miracle. Like, what just happened? Because when she said it, she goes, I was going to die, and now I'm healed. And I'm like, she's bawling. I mean, she's just crying in joy. And so I'm like, okay, that was cool. That's something. So I start reading the Old Testament and David. Now, the thing about any Jewish foot person, Jesus, maybe not so much, but for me, David was always cool. And I was reading the Gospels where the Pharisees were grilling Jesus, like, who are you? And, are you the Son of God? And blah, blah, blah. And Jesus is like, oh, you tell me, riddle me this, Batman. David said, the Lord said to my Lord, sit on my right hand side until your enemies become your footstool. How did David, being a man, speak to his Lord and yet be, the father of the Lord? I'm botching it up a little bit, but I think you get what I'm saying is, how can he be his father and yet speak being servant of God? And the Pharisees go, well, we don't know. And Jesus goes, well, until you tell me, I ain't telling you. Good day. And at that moment, that was I think in rock climbing, they call it like a toe hold or a grab where you can pull yourself up to the next thing. That was my moment. That was when I was like, okay, I'd been around enough miracles in the New Age or spiritual stuff where, I'd seen weird stuff, objects moving, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, how difficult would it be for God to divide chromosomes in the womb to create his own son? I'm like, yeah, piece of cake. I could see him doing that. So shortly after that, I give my heart to God. And this is how it went. Fine. Jesus, be my Lord and Savior. Come in my heart. Yada, yada, yada. Nothing happens. And then it was 2.5 months after that. I mean, I was miserable. I got convicted. I got all the spirits that were inside of me were just in an uproar. I felt miserable, but I meant it. When I said that prayer, I actually meant it. I was the most sarcastic, unthankful, blah, blah, blah about Jesus, but I'm like, no, I'm in. And this was my rationale. I think, what is it? It's a wager. Help me out. Pascal's wager. I thought, my friend Jennifer goes like this. She goes, you believe in in Buddhism and reincarnation? I'm like, oh yeah. She goes, you believe that 100%? I'm like, uh-huh. She goes, I'll tell you what. Why don't you give your heart to Jesus this lifetime. If it doesn't work out, you can go back to Buddha. I'm like, what's a lifetime for a friend? Okay, I'm in. And when I said the prayer, I said it, oh my gosh, I said it like, yeah, fine. But I meant it, because the reason I said it was because when I said it, I meant it. And that's what flipped the switch. And 2.5 months later, it was in the middle of a dirt field, November, I think 15th, which would have been my dad's birthday, about 2:30 in the afternoon, facing southwest in the middle of a dirt field. The Spirit of God showed up. And at first, he was very slow, and I could have said no at any moment. But I let him in, started from my stomach. It was actually tingling. Went past my heart, but when it went to my mind, all I could say is bam. It was like I was in the presence of God, and I knew it. And this is what got me to stay, is when I was in the presence of God, I was like, oh my gosh, it's you. Because what I didn't realize is when I was a kid, when I was about 5.5, up until the age of 5.5, I had been in the presence of God all my life. It was at the age of 5.5, and I remember it, is when I was in the living room in my house. I would walk in and out of this presence, of this emotional encounter. And I remember it was 3 times. Well, I'll just say I walked out of it. When I was 5.5, I couldn't express what I walked out of. I missed something I didn't even understand. And life got really rough after that. And then at the age of 38, I'm in this dirt field, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's you. I'm back in your presence. I used his name to get to you. That means you and him are one. I just said, okay, we'll work it out. And I said, you look good. You haven't changed a bit. And then all I could say, it was off to the races. Then I went from like 10 miles down miserable to 10 miles high ecstatic. And then the supernatural, then the woo hit the fan. And then, later on that day, he stuck his finger up to about like there into my chest, came in a spiral, felt like a little pebble dropping in. And then it was like a fire hydrant cap getting busted off, and this love and power at the same time came gushing out. And it freaked me out. And the first thing I thought of was the Catholics. I was like, I used to remember these candles where Jesus would be pulling back his robe, pointing to his chest, like pointing to his heart. I'm like, it happens at the heart. And the Catholics got it right. Way to go, Catholics. So shout out to the homies, to Neil. But that was 25 years, actually 26 years, a few months ago. And it has not been easy. Ooh, I got my butt beat by all kinds. I think I got my butt beat by myself because I was an idiot. One, where do I want to go with this? No, it's a Martin Shaw. My story is a lot like Martin Shaw, but he's more articulate. I can meet someone who's pagan, and if I use the word pagan improperly, I'm sorry. If you're just not Christian and you're getting back to earth culture, whatever, but I'll just use the words I know as best I can. I can speak to any New Age pagan and even Satanist now about Jesus, and I won't whitewash the gospel, and I won't Like, I'm not here to all dogs go to heaven and it's all okay. But I know how to communicate with them and see what they're at and see usually where they're hurt or what they're craving. And to be honest, it's the goodness of God that draws. That's what got me, and that's what's kept me. It's his love, it's his presence. I realize not everybody has it, and you don't have to be a drug dealer or drug addict or someone who's evil, bad, nasty, who gives your heart to God to have an encounter with God. You can just have him by seeking him. You can be a real good person, not crazy, and seek him with all your heart, and you'll have as much of an encounter as me, because I realize it's just desire and faith and hope, and you just do the best you can with what you've got, be consistent, and just go for it, and know that if I can have it, you can have it. But that's anyhow. So getting back to Martin Shaw, and what happens is, so I see these people like Martin Shaw and Paul Kingsnorth getting saved, radically saved, and really it's not even of their own doing. It's now God won't armbar you into the kingdom of heaven, but he will come and interrupt your life and give you an honest opportunity to find the real opportunity to know him. To be honest, it's everything I've ever wanted. And when I got my butt kicked, it's because I was proud. I had miracles, signs, and wonders happening around me. And I think, I don't want to blame the other people I was around, but I realize, looking back on it, if I had it all over to do again, I would try to have kept my mouth quiet about it, and not even quiet. It's competitive with other people within the body who want to be somebody. I've never really wanted to be anybody. I mean, this is me. I do like knowing people and being known. That's fun. Like this whole thing, this is a good time. But to be the Swami Ron, I'm like, nah, dude. What I have learned about the woo, if I can do it, you can do it. It's just the question of, do you want it? You want to heal the sick, cast out demons, raise the dead? You can do it. Anybody can. It's nobody special. We are all special. Because it's Jesus that gives the Shazam in any of it. And then you just learn from someone, and you practice, and you don't give up, and have the right heart while you're doing it. And it's like baseball, practice. It's like any skill. It's faith. Faith grows, and God can grow our faith. And if you've never had these moments, and you've never healed the sick, cast out demons, or raised the dead, that's fine. But I'll be honest, it's fun. And then more so than anything, it's the transformation of heart that I'm about. It's like, I like all the thinky talky stuff that happens here, because it's been valuable for me to analyze and assess the problems that I've had in my own life, that I've caused, that I brought into my own life, that I didn't honestly or properly put it down on paper so I could run away at the right time. But I'm learning, because I've been here in the corner. I'm learning to think it's critical thinking is not ungodly, and it's not unspiritual, I think, and nor is being able to do critical thinking negate the spirit. Some need a hammer, some need a hug. That's funny. So, all right. So with Martin Shaw, I like his book. I listened to it. He's not. So his experience sounds a lot like mine. And I think the stories that I've listened to, like I've listened to all of Lord of the Rings, liked them. They're good books. Got me through some tough times. Some stories that he's talked about, like with Martin Shaw, he talks about how when you journey in through a problem, you'll go to what's called the underworld, and then usually in the underworld, there's something there for you to learn, to overcome, and then a gift to come back to the upper world, not for yourself, but to help others. To be honest, that's what I think's happening to me, and it's been through Martin Shaw and his stories and Jonathan Pajot that have maybe helped me get a different verbal framework. And it's not a substitute to the Bible, nothing like that at all. It's maybe a lens to help me understand more so, like Jacob. Jacob got busted. He was a mouthy kid who had more woo than any of us. And then he went to the underworld jail, learned humility, came back out of the underworld and saved his family and the lineage of Jesus. So I think that's what I see going on, and I like it. And so and the reason I talked about politics earlier is that was becoming my good and bad venue of combat. I'm like, man, don't fight people. I know better. If you think nobody's as bad, people are not as bad as the enemies think, and nor are people as good as they think that they are. Somewhere in between. So that's what and I've been encountering, oh man, I encountered so much witchcraft in the church. And this is what witchcraft is. It is not Ouija boards and pentagrams and sacrificing chickens, though that is a form of witchcraft. What I've seen witchcraft really be, it's stubbornness and manipulation, and I'll throw myself under the bus on this. Bad attitudes. And I'm learning to overcome that with my weapons of choice are forgiveness. Forgive everybody. Forgive first, ask questions later, repent, walk in love, confession, that goes in there. Anyhow, so now, what else is a superpower? All right, if you want to heal someone, it's as simple as this. In the name of Jesus, be healed. So you go up to somebody, whether it's cancer or sinus cold, whatever. In the name of Jesus, be healed. That's it. It's up to God to heal them. And then you practice, and you don't go by the results that you see at the moment, because it can be one and done and give glory to God, and the kingdom of heaven is here. Or it could be maybe pain diminishes, or maybe nothing happens at all. But then that's not to say it doesn't happen later on, because I've seen that a lot. And then practice makes perfect. And then there's other things, prophecy, and then there's all kinds of other spiritual things. I don't know the proper words for it, but basically walk in and through love and interpret all your experiences for yourself and others through love and in a hopeful way. And even if you're wrong, at least you're trying. And if you try, God will prune you and correct you. And if you're doing well, God will grow you. And then the cool thing is you might just help somebody. Oh, Mark D. Parker. I miss Mark. Where you
Sorry.
at?
Sorry. I had my
Hi, Mark.
little cap on here. Good testimony.
That's-
Good story.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So
Thought I'd help bridge get some more people in. I can stick around
That's
for a few
cool.
minutes, but thought
that's
I'd help
cool.
get you from point A to point B until you
And
get some company.
that's cool. I was thinking. So what do you think?
About what?
Interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Your story.
I actually
but it's the no. Go ahead. What?
no. What do you think? But it's what? I was going to go to fasting next, but that's actually I'll just
fasting.
Here, let me add something. Who's this? Wait, what's that? And that's Martin Shaw. Let's remove him. I don't know how to remove stuff yet. Anyhow,
you got the little boxes down below. You got your you see your big screen, right? And then you got each individual player down below. Then hover your mouse over the Martin Shaw image or whatever that YouTube is to share.
Got it.
It'll say remove. It should offer you the chance to remove, or if you click on the like 3 dots, click on the 3 dots and it'll give you the chance to remove.
Okay. So, all right, here we go. So that's actually my testimony.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. I find myself. That's when I talk the woo. It's experiential, and so it's subjective, but whatever. I'll with that out the way. I've seen, like you, I've seen God move and work, and I think just having these conversations here are important because I realize there's so many people here who have so many crazy cool testimonies that because Paul has told me, like he said, like I got people telling me things I can't tell you, and I'm like, oh man, that's like telling me you got a bag of candy and you can't share it. And that there's so many more here that I would love it if there were people who could blow me away. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, dude, because if you can do that, then I have something to shoot towards. Inspiration.
Right.
It is.
Yeah, I don't know. It's let's see. I did my second. This last Sunday was my second mass in a row with the Catholics, and it's just like starting over. I'm starting from scratch. It's center like it's because it's just how it feels. It's just like I'm vaguely familiar with these things at a distance, but up close, it's just like I'm just feeling like I'm starting over. So, which is a good thing. I'm happy with
When's the last time you were Catholic? When was the last time you were Catholic?
I was never.
Or have
Catholic.
you ever been Catholic?
No.
Okay.
My mother was my mother was born Catholic. I'm sure her mother had her christened. Or baptized as an infant. I don't know how they phrase it, and on that side of the family, her mother was your classic stereotypical Irish Catholic lady from born in the early 20th century. Very hard, rough life, orphaned in her teen years, raised her younger siblings from the age of 16 on, dirt poor, violent marriages, alcoholism, but very, very devoted Catholic through it all. And I only knew her, but as a little old lady, But so the imagery I'm familiar with, it was all around, certainly in my childhood. But it's a little, but actually driving in and take it seriously is new to me. So, but I actually like the feeling. I think I might be able to do it. We'll see. I'm thinking it's very day by day. Cause talk about fasting. It's like fasting. There's a lot of religiosity and a lot of, a lot of religious language, holy this, sacred that, robes and candles. And I'm a pretty stripped down, bare kind of person, even in Protestant circles. So, that's all stuff I've got to get comfortable with. At least, but it's monkey mind stuff. So I just kind of, I see myself doing it and I just kind of go, whatever, keep going. What's next?
Right.
And,
it's funny.
I like the vibe. Go ahead.
Well, I hung out with the Catholics for 6 years, hardcore. And
while you went to a Pentecostal church though at the same time, right? Or did you attend?
Okay. Same time. But it was.
Why did you divide yourself like that? Do you remember have any recollection?
So, me and the pastor were fighting, and I needed more time. I wanted a place to pray. I don't mind praying at home, but I like praying at church. Okay. Whether it's Catholic and I didn't have the keys to the church, so I had heard of it's St. Francis of Assisi in Muncie, Indiana, that's next to Ball State University. They have a 24/7 prayer room, chapel. And I'm like, dude, I got to check that out. And there's about 15 chairs set up in a room. They have a can. I jokingly, my Catholic friends, this is not an insult. But when I was starting, it was a cracker in the can. It was the host, the body of Christ, and the monstrance. And the room was open 24/7 where you can come in and pray. So I took advantage of that. And it really felt very close to a monastery. It reminded me of the Zen times, nice and quiet, ordered, structured, but the target was Jesus. Mm-hmm. And I really fit well into that environment. It was kind of surprising. And I really absorbed by asking. The students were there. I'm actually still friends with them 7 years later. So I visit there every day for 6 years straight, up until I had my kerfuffle with the janitor. Right. And I actually went through RCIA. And
what's RCIA?
I met some cool priests. It's the Christian catechism class for adults.
Okay.
It's because I was just so, and really it's just jumping through hoops. There's nothing, you will learn nothing. I'm not trying to be mean, but
no, I mean, yeah, I get it. I've started in on the catechism on my own, going through a couple versions of it. There's the Mike Schmidt's version that he's a catechism in a year. Oh, okay. He's a young guy, kind of looks like Don Draper. Yeah. Kind of square jawed football player looking kind of guy, like going, you're a priest or whatever. Super energetic, too energetic for me, but it's okay. I'll work through it. But so I'm going through it with him. And then also, I have it's the kind of the main catechism that John Paul II signed off on, and I'm going through that at the same time. they're all basically identical. It's just one's a little more structured for learning. But anyway, it is. I mean, yeah. At one level, there's nothing new. On another, it's just I'm just choosing to turn off my Protestant critical analysis brain. You know, what do you mean? You know, what do you mean by this word or that word? You know, what's the meaning of? It depends on what your meaning of the word is, right? I mean, it's none of that. I'm just not analyzing it. I'm just saying, here it is. What's next? What's next? What's next? Okay, this is what you believe, at least what you say you believe. This is what you say I'm supposed to believe if I'm going to be Catholic or whatever. And then, you know, the degree to which it's at one point going through this, I in trying to overcome the analytic mind, I had the scripture come to me where it dawned on me where the man says, Lord, I believe, help my unbelief. And I'm kind of go, okay, that's kind of the approach, the mindset I'm having going into this. And that can keep going, you know, it's just like, okay, yeah, I believe kinda the best I can believe anything, you know, right. I mean, and from a scientific, modernist, Protestant mindset, you know, where you analyze everything to death and question and doubt. And I'm just saying, you know, we're going to set that aside for the purposes of this exercise.
Right.
Doesn't mean I can't pick it up tomorrow. You know, and it doesn't mean you're going to snow me with some bullshit. Like, you know, right. Like I would, you know, like, we talk about the cults or whatever, they'll, you know, no, I'm not going into it with that mindset either. It's just that for the purposes of this exercise, I'm going to just keep moving forward through it. And, yeah, I believe this or I believe that. I do not believe it. I mean, it's just like, but you know, Lord, help my unbelief. You know, it's because, I mean, we can get into a whole, I mean, there's a lot there really quick, that would get us in trouble with Sam Tiedemann, for example, who's, you know, there's a lot of Trinity in Catholicism, folks, in case you didn't know.
There.
Oh yeah, they open right up with it, baby. It's like, oh, it's Trinity, 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 man. It's like, woo, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
you can't dodge it.
So how's it? So does it feel good, weird, or just weird, or just new weird?
No, at first weird. At first felt weird.
Yeah. Okay.
Now we're 3-4 weeks into this decision. Give or take, with a lot of background. Because I first started to go, I started talking about going through the catechism over 10 years ago with a Catholic friend of mine. And we just, for various reasons of life, we never did it. And so it got pushed to the back burner. And then recently it came back up again. And because of a wooey thing, because of a dream. So anyway, but I never pulled the trigger, and I never took a deep dive into it in this way. It was always at arm's length. It was always as a historical analysis. It was always as a kind of, you know, so this is how we came to our beliefs as Protestants or whatever. But it's, practicing as a kind of, in a yogic way, right? I'm going to just attach myself to this tradition and carry it as far as I possibly can and do all the things they want me to do. And we'll see what we look like in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Yeah, at first it's weird, and it's not, it's kind of uncomfortable because I can't even tell you what page they're on with regard to the liturgy to follow along. People are opening their books. I'm trying to make sense of it, and their bulletin is an 8.5 by 11 newsprint pamphlet / newspaper. I mean, it's huge. They got all kinds of things happening, and there's nothing there to say, if you're new here, this is where you go to, turn to this page in the lectionary or something. and follow along. I'm sure somebody knows where to look because of the calendar, but they don't have anybody, they don't have a big outline of the calendar somewhere. So, and I've not bothered to look it up. I'm sure if I went online and prepared, maybe I'll do that next week, is come in prepared and try to be prepared to follow along. But right now I just sit there listening and, you know, I let everybody kneel. I stand when everybody stands and sit when they sit, and when they kneel, I lean forward. I don't really kneel.
Right. No,
and I don't say, and I found I don't have to say father. That was a relief. I don't have to call ministers, priest father. No, it's
you
that's
don't have to go, really.
No, they're actually, if you look it up, their proper office is reverend. That's the proper way to refer to him, as reverend. And so I can just say reverend so and so instead of father so and so. So it's like, okay, because it's actually a term of endearment. I went, oh, that's interesting when I dug into that one. So that eased my Protestant angst on level.
Because I found out, because I was talking to one priest one time, and I accidentally called a minister. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. And he's like, no, we're actually ministers. Okay. I'm like, I thought you guys, like father.
Yeah, they're super chill. The guys these days, I don't know if they used to be this chill, but all the ministers at this church are super chill. It doesn't. There's no even. I would like some incense, but I don't think I've not smelled any incense.
What?
No incense.
They don't have smells and bells? Because the place
I have no bells, no smells that I can tell. What? They have some generic. They have candles that don't smell like anything, and and they're not everywhere. There's just a few. They have the normal. They have basically the same procession the United Methodists had when I went to a United Methodist church. They'd have their routine where they walk forward and everybody takes position. They got the all the attendants. It's women are they're not priests, but they're reading scripture and they're participating fully in every other way. So it's a pretty contemporary type of scene. It's not super conservative, not super liberal. Nobody's flying flags out front, but it's a successful church. I finally got some firm numbers. They're saying, and according to their bulletin, they're on a building drive. They're building out a new 20-acre campus to accommodate their growth. Dang. They've got say what?
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's big. Well, right now they're separated. They've got two separate campuses, smaller campuses, and they're running services in both all Sunday, everywhere. Sunday, Saturday, whatever. And then multi-languages, because we got a big immigrant population. And so they're building out this new campus, and it's going to hold 1,500 people in the sanctuary.
Did you say 1,500?
1,500, yeah. For one service.
That's for one service?
Yeah, that's the whole one service. Yeah, it's really successful. Yeah, they're popping. And that's the nice thing about them compared to my old church is all the generations are represented. Lots of young people, lots of old people, everybody in between. Mm-hmm. That's fun. That's a good vibe. They've got all the ministries going. They got a homeless ministry. They've got the food pantry ministry. Mm-hmm. They got people who want to pursue more. Pretty much the list of 20 or 30 different things going on.
All right. So what about the woo? Now, when
I've not investigated yet. Yeah, I don't know yet.
I do have, I was surprised. So I get to this St. Francis and I'm doing the undercover Protestant thing, thinking it's Belfast, like I'm going to get, and they were very cool. And I went up to Father Dorr. He's the guy who wrote Exodus 99. Is a book it was pretty popular for a little bit. So he's a priest. Like he's not charismatic, but the funny thing is, I told him, like, hey, Father Door, sometimes I pray for people. Is this okay? Because I knew there was a hierarchy and a structure and a chain of command. And if I'm going to get in trouble, I'm gonna avoid it as best I can. I'm gonna go to top dog and get permission. I was expected to get shot down, and I go, listen, Father, I pray for people, and sometimes, I just want to make sure that's okay. And he's like, yeah, no problem. Just don't cause any, just being, normal about it. He's like, fine. I was like, what? Aren't you guys uptight? And, in my mind, I'm like, well, that was surprising. And what I have seen, and this is a fairly conservative church, there's some pretty intense miracles that happen that they keep on the down low because they don't have a culture of sharing it. I think there's a lot more healings and miracles that happen than are let on, which I think is kind of sad.
Well, they don't make a deal out of it at all. I mean, they've never dismissed any of that stuff. Unlike, some Protestant denominations, where they've got dispensations and this one's come and this one's gone. And I mean, whatever.
Right.
Right. These people tell you, the saints are so alive, you can talk to them. So,
right. Yeah, well,
and Mary is the mother of God. You gotta grok that one, and it's a real phrase, and it's really meant. And when you sit with it and think about it, and read some bigger minds than my own on the subject, you kind of see how different individuals spin it and meditate on it, and it's just like I said, I'm coming in and I'm a kindergartner again. I'm just coming in, starting from scratch, saying, okay, let's see what happens.
It's
so
funny,
these are my ABCs.
Right. I know what I learned. It is the Eucharist and the Mass. That's where heaven and earth meet. In the Protestants, it would be the word, the reading of the word and preaching of the word. And I'm not mocking or ridiculing either or, but at the Catholic Church, it is the Mass and communion. That's the ground zero. That everything orbits. I'm like, that doesn't bother me.
They celebrate it every week.
Yeah, at the place I'm at. Yeah, exactly, at every Mass. And I think for me, I've met two people, one Orthodox and one Catholic, that really changed my mind in a cool way on the Eucharist. Because I realized she's in the corner, and I'm not going to use her name because I don't want to just announce it, but she said when she joined, I am not even going to say whether it was Orthodox or Catholic, but she went into her denomination, got into the church, and when she took communion for the first time, she just felt it. There was an encounter with the Holy Spirit, and I'm like,
some people say things like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I could see that if you do it enough and let it soak into you, like, or whoever, if you're doing it, if you have faith, I could see that. That'd be a pretty cool touch point. I don't know.
My thinking is that it's everyone's got to rush. In this day and age, every individual has to decide for their self on these things. But for me, it's just like if the Catholic Church is truly Christian, then it's incumbent as a Protestant or evangelical or anything else, because everything in Western Christianity, everything descends from it. There's nothing independent of it. I mean, we are all descendants of that church tradition in the West. And so the issue then is, if they're truly Christian, then I need to have a very good reason to justify continuing the schism.
The war's over, man.
I mean, if they are truly Christian, you're going to have to say they're not Christian to continue the schism, in my mind.
Oh, listen, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you. I've had this thought myself. And also, my story. Like, there's some other things I'm like, man, I'm about to get in trouble with the Protestants. Like, I'm like, oh, dude. No, I really, if the war is over and let's say we won as a Protestants, like, oh, we got our point across. Like, okay, you done fighting now? So what's next?
Right. Even Catholics say things needed to change. I've heard Bishop Barron, of all people, even say things needed to change.
Really?
And he's pretty straight-laced Catholic dude. He's always selling, man. Have you seen that? Bishop Robert Barron on YouTube. He's always him. Yeah, he's all right. He's certainly smart enough, and but he's very straight down the middle Catholic. He's enthusiastically Catholic. But if he can say things needed to change, then things needed to change. But they've changed quite a bit, and why are we continuing the schism? Then is it willfulness? Is it pride? Is it selfish ambition? Is it something as mundane as 31 flavors? I just want to have a different flavor of Jesus. I want mint and chip Jesus instead of Rocky Road. I don't know.
Well,
and that could be. I'm not saying one's invalid or not. I'm just saying.
I wonder, how to heal that, because, all right, okay, if I've been fought so much in the I'm getting kind of stopped. Hold on a second. I'm trying to figure out what that was. If it was my junk getting dealt with. And I don't want to do a thought experiment with stuff like this. I'm not just, I think I'd be very comfortable saying, I'm thinking, wait a second, I'm kind of getting stopped. This is on my mind as much as you. Like, I done had me a dream that's been with me 5 years now, with she who will not be mentioned.
Right.
And it's, my stuff's always experienced first, and then figuring it out later. Like, my experience first, and then I'm like, oh, the Bible, well, check that out. They got it right. It's more like Paul. Whammo, get up off your butt, follow me. Oh, then Paul goes, by the way, who are you, Lord? And he's like, it's me. So I've already been knocked off my donkey, so to speak, or my center. I feel good saying this. My center has been recentered, and I'm the last one figuring out where my center is, other than I know it's absolutely good. And it's kind of leading me in directions I would not have thought. And I'm realizing it's okay to take my time. For me.
Yeah.
But I like these conversations, because when you said the war is over, what do we do now? I'm like, maybe it's a lot like a gravitational pull of one bigger object pulling on a very big, another object that's not quite as big, but still big. And so
Yeah.
the orbit, and I feel very comfortable saying that.
No, you
Like,
can just, it could be something, when you say the war's over, you could just, stop. Lots of things, lots of connotations is that sort of thing. It could be, I don't need to be so defensive. It could mean I don't need to one up. It could mean I will reach out. Offer invitations or accept invitations, vice versa. It doesn't mean you have to do what I'm doing. What I'm doing is probably, from what the feedback I'm getting from people, is probably considered somewhat far out.
Really?
I've gotten a lot of feedback. in the essay I'm writing, I've written an essay and I've rewritten it several times, and I'm still not sure if it's ready for publication. But in one phrase I use, my inbox runneth over.
Right.
It's
Really?
lots of it's stirred lots of input.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really weird because it's like I'll wake up. I don't know, a week or so ago, I woke up like at 3 a.m. and unable to sleep, and doing as we do, I looked at my phone, tried to find something to listen to while to try to go back to sleep with, and there's Chris his email, Chris Howard's is on. He's got his early morning live stream going. And there's this whole back and all these people with opinion. They're talking. For some reason, they're talking about me. Probably because it was after my last video or something, live stream, that was about this. And all these opinions flying around, and all these things speculating. And it's like, it's kind of far out. And I just I let it go. I didn't listen to the rest. I didn't, because I didn't want to. I was trying to go back to sleep, for one thing. And but it's what it says. All that, what was in the chat or whatever people say about any of us, doing this stuff online, usually reflects more about what's happening with them. As the cliche goes, but it's actually a true one. You're stirring up stuff in other people, but it's a sensitive subject.
I think you're right. It's
500 years old, but it's a sensitive subject.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, it's interesting, and this is just me asking. Like this split didn't happen like an earthquake. Like the world. I'm asking as well as saying, as my understanding, it wasn't like the land parted and a gulf opened up between the two. It was it pretty slow and divergent
There were some precursors. There were some proto-Protestant type of moves happening in the church. You've always had factions and little groups trying to break out, but the church contained it pretty successfully. It seems like it took them it was a 150-year process, but it seems like the Black Death kind of unmoored all of Western European society. And and then the printing press comes along, and that's probably the thing that rocks it more than anything else, because you have people who literacy rates go way up, and then there's a big push all over the place for scripture translated into the languages of the various countries, outside of Latin. And so that I mean, and it got pretty bitter, and then Luther comes along. They just found a guy who was situated just right geopolitically. He was uniquely stubborn,
Right.
uniquely brilliant,
Mm-hmm.
a little mean spirited. He could give as good as take, and he had a prince that was going to protect him, and he was a prince that was he was inside the princely state of the Holy Roman Empire, that they needed this guy. So he had a backer who had an in with the emperor, and so it was a combination of factors. A guy, just circumstances were just right, and it just lit a match, and it just boom, things just blew up really quickly after that, and it crazy.
How quick was it? How quick are we talking about?
Years. It just matter of less than 10 years. Things are going nuts.
So
it starts with Luther, and it just goes and goes and goes.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I mean, everybody's starting to invent. Everybody starts to innovate and get inventive really quickly. Once they're liberated from Rome, the lid's off. People are reinterpreting everything for themselves. Luther goes so far. Luther turns out to be one of the more conservative figures in the Protestant Revolution.
Okay,
but he's not so conservative that he's not revisiting the canon of Scripture.
Yeah,
he's revisiting what books go in the book. That's far out, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, that's radical in and of itself. And he marries a nun, and people took vows, but they've, they're leaving their vows, and they, at the same time, all this is happening over in England. You got Henry VIII, and he's looting monasteries and divorcing and beheading wives. And
right. Yeah. Okay. Well,
it's people wanted to be free from the kings, wanted to be free from the Pope and the church, and the people wanted to be free in their own ways, but they also wanted to be free from the aristocrats and the kings. And you had a peasants' revolt, which then Luther sides with the aristocrats, the princes, and against the peasants, and it was violent. It got violent quickly. Once Luther comes along, it gets. And I'm no expert on the history, but
it figures that God would use some people like us to, like needle and thread, to bring back together. I think we are unschismers. I think the corner. I think just good conversation is where it's at, as much as the printing press and new ideas. The perfect storm blew things up. I wonder, as much as the internet can be a force of destruction, maybe in some way it might be one of reconciliation as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, I saw Mark S. in the chat at some point, and I don't know if he's still there, but it's like we're restorationists, and that's my own, it's the tradition I was baptized into at age 9. And restoration can kind of mean a couple things. It can mean you plow over everything and start fresh to rebuild something like the old, and try to rebuild the old, or you strip down you restore an old building. Sometimes they restore an old building just by stripping the whole thing down to the studs, and then they rebuild it with new. Or it can also mean reconciliation. We're going to restore a relationship. We're going to restore. Restoration can mean many different things. So I can still be a restorationist and a Catholic, I think.
Right.
My attitude is like, we're, none of this had happened by accident. I think, God is in the middle of everything,
Right.
I I have faith in God's presence and his full love and attention, and yeah, for some reason he wants us to work it out somewhat on our own. It seems like at times,
Right.
teaching us how to walk and talk and.
Dude, it can be confusing. Yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just posted a link in the chat. One of my favorite Catholic books. I'll be honest. Next to the Bible, it's my next favorite book.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard of Practicing the Presence of God by Brother Lawrence?
Sure.
Oh, okay. That one is my favorite. I think if he were around today, I would follow him. I would find out where he's at. And I'm like, okay, let me hang out with you.
Well, that's the nice thing about Catholicism is they have so many different places where you can hang your hat and spend your lifetime in. You can kind of let a lot of the other things go, and you can pursue a certain kind of practice and find us. It's huge. You can it's huge and diverse.
Also,
whereas so everything's so specific. It's very brand specific within Protestantism. There's not a lot of diversity in terms of and some become very intolerant of any diversity. It just depends on the denomination or the group. But some are more tolerant than others. But you pretty much I think I compared it to somebody at some point. It's like you in Protestantism, you find something that suits you. Catholicism, to some degree, says no. You've got to conform to us.
Yeah.
And you go, and that's kind of the practice of it, though. I mean, that's the practice, and that's in that sense, it's kind of like yoga. And that's how I'm approaching it. It's like stand on one leg instead of standing on one leg and downward dog and breathe like this, and I'm going to learn the rosary, and I'm going to not. I'm not going to bend over backwards to rationalize the Trinity. I'll just say, this is what the church believes. I'll recite the creeds. My church doesn't recite creeds. They don't have creeds. The church I came out of.
Yeah.
I don't. We never said the creeds. I went to a Baptist high school, and nobody ever said the creeds. I never ever heard. I had to look them up on my own. It's fun.
Yeah, I'm so glad you stopped in, dude.
That's good talking to you.
I miss you. It's
miss
fun.
You too.
It's fun when it's like, hey, it's my neighbor Mark. Come on in, Mark.
Yeah, I hope I didn't crash the party too soon.
No,
I
actually,
wanted to give you plenty of
perfect.
time to breathe and do your thing.
This is exactly perfect. But I got to split. I have to run, and I just got to shut down things cold. And all
right. Yep, I got to go too. So have fun. Have a good week.
All right, you too. And
bye, everybody.
All right, goodbye, everybody. I'll see you. Bye. And are we gone? Goodbye, people. Be blessed.